I want to go over 3 student work samples that were submitted as part of the choice project from last semester. Keep in mind, the choice project is a very individual thing that you're supposed to land on an ed tech tool that you want to learn more about. Maybe watch a bunch of tutorials, get certified, join a Facebook group about it, ask other teachers how they use it, etc. So you're supposed to really just explore. Don't let these 3 steer you in any one direction. So here are 3 samples. Number 1, I had a student elementary ed pick Seesaw last semester. This would be best suited, it's a student-driven portfolio, best suited for kids, I would say 4th grade and under. So she made a Seesaw account and a classroom, and then put different activities for students to do in there. And she really did a good job making sure she gave her students multiple activities where they could learn to draw, annotate, record video, record audio, and type. And then she added a fake student in. I don't know who it was, a roommate or her under a different Google account. I have no idea, right? So then there was this fake student in there who completed the activities. That way she could see what is it like for a student, well, 1, to get a student in, but 2, what's it like when they do the assignment, okay? Then lastly, she had me get in there. So she gave me the sheet, which Seesaw produces. I scanned the QR code with my phone and then jumped in there as this fake student's mother. And I was able to leave that fake student feedback and see everything that she assigned and my student did. Great project for her because she was able then to see what is it like to get a parent in, but what happens when the parent leaves feedback. It was like this all-encompassing project for her from every different angle. Loved it. It was a great example. If you end up landing on Seesaw as an elementary ed major, that's a great way to go about doing it. Number 2, I had an ag student who wanted to use video to be able to show how something is done. And so he showed fall harvest at Pioneer Farm, but then also weaved in elements of how the beef cattle are fed there, which I thought was a really interesting angle because by the time he was done, he had one video that would fulfill multiple opportunities of discussion in his future classroom. So students would be able to discuss how this particular example shows fall harvest, combining corn, okay? But then there would also be opportunities for him to use this footage to show or talk about what a potential TMR could be, or ways to tweak production or tweak, say, the feed ration to increase or alter production. But then there's even this footage where he's way up high showing the overall farm layout. There's another point of discussion there too. So it's a really good way of him using Weave Video, the EdTech tool, right, to be able to create a video that offers lots of different points of discussion. So then he would submit his video, but then also say ways that he might use this in the classroom, since it would come in handy in multiple units as a future ag teacher. The last example is from elementary ed. This person wanted to use Google Expeditions, but it wouldn't be enough for her to just say she wanted to do that. It's kind of a self-explanatory tool. She had to prove to me that she understood how to weave it into instruction. So she took one of the expeditions and then created the slideshow to go with it. So in her concept, this is what was going to happen. She had, let's say, a group of 20 kids paired up, okay? So 10 little teams here. And they had with them one set of goggles, a graphic organizer, perhaps, and a Chromebook with this slideshow on it. And she was controlling the slideshow for all the kids using Pear Deck, okay? And so the kids are, student A is looking at the expedition of whatever habitat. We'll say we're on the rainforest, okay? And student B is now looking at the Chromebook, writing down, probably in a graphic organizer, notes from the slideshow, and then collecting additional data from the student partner. Then they would swap so the other student could look around and see the rainforest. So then by the end of this little segment, they have gathered a ton of learning about the rainforest from their teacher and from the expedition. Now keep in mind, this teacher is using Pear Deck to be able to advance to the next slide. So the class, although they're learning in this little duo here, they are also learning together as she is controlling the slideshow and asking questions along the way. So then I noticed she used Pear Deck to be able to stop the class and ask questions. So what happens is when she gets to this slideshow, on the student screen, they see an opportunity to answer this question. So she asks, describe, or prompts them to write, describe what you saw during your Google expedition. Did you see any animals? Did you see any plants? So on the student Chromebook then, they answer this question, but up on her smartboard, she's showing all the student results. So she's probably gonna, at this point, pause the expedition and then discuss this as a whole class, right? Okay, guys, awesome feedback. Let's talk about this. You noticed that? Wow, and you guys saw that. That's very interesting. What's something that is on nobody mentioned on this list, but you guys saw? And now the whole class is participating. So she goes through different stops on the expedition, probably unpauses it, and then they go back into their expedition, but then continues to take a moment and stop and discuss. And it's a great example of how to use multiple ed tech tools, really. Originally, she wanted to show or work with Google Expeditions, but then realized that she also wanted to have moments for students to stop and like unpack learning together. So then she weaved in Pear Deck. So there's two tools there that she got to know pretty darn well. All right, so there are three really good examples of students that just jumped in headfirst into learning some ed tech and then made something, showing me their skills and their passion and their understanding of how they would use this in the classroom. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know. We can talk it out and kind of get some direction, and if you're not sure where you're going to go yet. In the meantime, really just play with ed tech and see what's out there that you're passionate about.